What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are live on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, and of course on Roku via the National Streaming Sports app. Shout out to our friends over at National Streaming Sports. Learned today that Linda McGrath and Mac were actually in the restaurant industry before doing this, and they basically spoil one another with amazing desserts after shows and stuff like that. Now I have a goal for myself on what it is that I'm going to be doing, continuing to be a big old fat guy because I love being a big old fat guy. The other day I posted up a clip from the show where I was talking about if I'm the Chiefs, what I would do if facing the Denver Broncos, and so many people that are part of Broncos country decided that they just wanted to call me a fat guy. And one of them was like, "Oh, the only thing you've ever throttled is a dozen donuts." And I thought to myself, yes, I have. Again, I don't know what it like. They look at me and they say like, "Oh, you're fat." Like I don't know that. Anyway, it is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are brought to you by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com. That's RevAutoCarCare.com. Use promo code Tipton33. Save up to 15% on all of your car care needs. We're going to have a new video for Rev Auto Car Care coming out in just a couple of days as well. I'm super excited to start next week. Next week, we are going to do a 2-hour show, 1 hour on the Roku channel, and then a second hour just with the YouTube, Facebook, and X audiences. Maybe Twitch. We'll see if we get back onto Twitch and all that stuff that's going on out there as well. Our friend Jessica Michelle Forzon saying, if all they can do is insult your appearance, and that means they have nothing of value to say. I mean, I'm fine with it, right? Like, I understand like banter back and forth on the internet. It's just my whole mindset is if you're gonna insult me or do something of that nature, at least make it witty, right? Like at least make it funny. Don't just be like, "Oh, you're fat," and then be like, "Ha ha 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 ha, I got that guy." Right? Like think of stuff that's outside the box. Like use that little lump you got inside this big massive crevice you got and actually think of something that'll be like, "You know what? That's kind of funny." Right? Like I see a ton of comments out there with like those videos that like, kind of make fun of things. And my whole thing is like, if you're going to do it, at least be funny. Like at a minimum, be creative, be funny. My guy Tommy Carranza saying, "Good morning, Tip. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you, Tommy. I know that you were nice and cuddled up in your bed, all warm and snuggly by the time 10:30 came around, as you have usurped Augustine as the oldest person that watches and tunes into the show." I hope everyone had a phenomenal New Year's Eve. Everyone had a safe and happy New Year's Eve. Let's go ahead and jump into it. On New Year's Eve, I was at the 91st annual Sun Bowl game, the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl game, down on the sidelines, getting video, doing all kinds of cool stuff. The game was a fun game. 42 total points scored in the first half of the game. That winds up being tied for second most points all time, despite me putting out there that I was that it was the highest scoring game. We were given some bad information on that. That's no big deal, right? Like I don't think people really pay attention to those types of things. So I put it on out there. I'm like, hey, this was a really awesome game. Getting feedback from people, the weird Louisville crowd of people online that are like, "Oh, I hate that they're in El Paso." Louisville and Washington seem to have loved their time in El Paso. Tommy Canazza saying he had a few drinks and went to sleep at 12:30. Whoa, look at you dialing back the clock a little bit. I think I fell asleep at about 1 o'clock is because I was going up and down all those stairs at the Sun Bowl Stadium. And I know that I'm going to get called a coward on this because it's been something that people have called me before in the past, because Washington's down by 14 points in the fourth quarter. They mount a furious comeback and ultimately score a touchdown with, I want to say, 15 or 9 seconds to go in the game. All they need to do is kick an extra point to tie the game to go to overtime. And what they decide to do is they decide to go for two. And I've said this a bunch of times. I'm not a person that I don't want to risk going for two whenever you've been on the struggle bus. And I get that it's hard to say whenever a team scores 34 points that they were on the struggle bus. But what I mean by this is Washington had 7 opportunities to score that touchdown before they did. Penalties helped elongate the drive in the goal, like inside the 10-yard line. There were multiple penalties inside the 10-yard line. They wind up getting a touchdown. They punch it in on 4th down, which means they were having a hard time scoring to begin with. If you are armed with all that knowledge on the coaching staff, why would you go for two? If you had 7 chances that you didn't get the touchdown, what makes you think that you can go for 2 right there, that you're going to just be able to punch it right in? And I get it, right? Like you play to win the game, but you know what else you do? You play not to lose games. Kick the field goal, go to overtime, and then let's see what happens in overtime, right? Linda McGrath saying, good morning, Mike. I hope you didn't party too much. I did not at all. It was a laid back, I'm just going to stay here at home type of New Year's Eve where, I mean, like I said, I think whenever I checked it, I was at 27 flights of stairs that I had, pounded out going up and down the stadium at the Sun Bowl. About, what was it, 10 to 12,000 steps that I had put in, just walking around the stadium, doing all that type of stuff, because I can't just sit in one spot. I know there's a lot of photographers that are out there that just sit in one spot. And I'm like, okay, I want to follow the team around. I want to do like these other things. I was going live on Instagram, seeing people in the crowd, which was kind of funny. I will never get used to people actually knowing who I am. And it's not like a flex of like, oh, I'm popular or whatever, right? No, it's not any of that. It's I'm there, going live on Instagram, and I'm like getting, crowd shots and stuff like that. I start walking, and one of my former students is there, and he's like, Mr. Tipton, look up in the stands. I look up in the stands. I'm like, oh, hey, guy. And then like a couple rows in front of him is a group of people, and they're like, Tipton. This, I was like, whoa, what the hell's going on here? Like, hey, people. Because I have glasses for a reason, and whenever it's super bright outside, it's super blurry for me, right? Like even looking right now, I got a light that's over here that helps me look halfway decent, and it's blurry farther out than my screen is right now. That's why you'll see me kind of, looking down, struggling. I'm old as hell. I was already blind, but now I'm old as hell. But going back to that Washington game, I'm sitting here watching it, right? And I'm up in the press box. I did not do my due diligence. I should have stayed down on the field. But during the 4th quarter, I go up to the press box. 1 touchdown gets scored. I sit there and I say to myself, what's the odds of another touchdown getting scored? Louisville, all they got to do is get a couple of first downs. This is the end of the game. Louisville punts. Washington gets the ball, marches down the field. I'm packing my stuff up, getting ready to go, and I'm just sitting here watching, right? Watching. They get the touchdown after struggling on 7 plays, finally get the touchdown in, and then they go for 2. And the whole time I'm sitting here watching the Washington press people, because they have me sitting right next to them, and they're sitting here like, this is a done game. We got this. This is over. And I'm wondering what information were you armed with that made you feel like you were just going to be able to punch it in? Like there was going to be no problems for your team at all in getting that touchdown. You tried 7 times and couldn't get it. Then finally got it after that, right? And the only way that you got the opportunity to do it 7 times was based off of 2 different penalties that happened inside the 10-yard line that winds up moving you to the 2-yard line. Kick the field goal, live to play another down, right? Like that's what you got to do. I get it. Math is going to tell you go for 2. You know what I mean? Like analytics, all that stuff is always going to tell you go for 2. You have to know and feel the game. You have like there's something about that part of it. And I sound like I'm a super old dude of like, no analytics, blah, blah, blah. I love me some analytics. Look at me. I wear glasses. I'm a fat guy. I'm a nerd. If you saw the spaceship that I have to sit in to do this show, you'd realize I'm a pretty damn nerdy dude. I'm all about analytics, but there's also something about the feel of the game. You were down at the 10-yard line and took 8 chances to get into the end zone. It wasn't going to be that easy for you. And I fast forward and I look at what happens in yesterday's games. As we have the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, we were supposed to have had the Sugar Bowl, and then we also had the Rose Bowl yesterday. And I say we should have had the Sugar Bowl because, as we know, there was some tragic stuff that happened over there. I get that this is an escape for some people to get away from all of the news and BS and stuff that's going out there in our world. It's unfortunate what happened. I'm not going to speak much on it. It's a tragedy, and I am not going to be one of those people that pounds people over the head with tragedy. It's not my place to do so. So I will talk about that whenever people actually want my opinion on something like that. As of now, though, I'm watching the Peach Bowl yesterday. Texas gets out to a dominating 17-3 lead, and they do what Texas does. This is what frustrates me about the University of Texas. I'm not even a Longhorns fan, right? You can see the UTEP shirt that I've got on right now. You can see the Texas Tech flag back over there. I'm a Texas Tech fan, if I'm being completely transparent. I just graduated from UTEP, but I am a Texas Tech fan. I'm all about the Red Raiders, guns up, suns up, guns up, baby. Like, that's what we do, hashtag wreck 'em. I am all about Texas Tech. That means, for the most part, don't really care, not a big fan of UT Austin. But I also know, and I got raked over the coals yesterday for this one, Arizona State didn't deserve to be in the position they were in. And people were like, oh, well, they won the Big 12. Awesome. Someone was like, they had 4 ranked wins. Awesome. They had 2 ranked wins against teams that were ranked at the end of the season. That's what matters to me. If you have a ranked win in September against a team that didn't deserve to be ranked in September, that's not a ranked win. How did they end the season? Did you beat a ranked team that ends up being ranked at the end of the season? And the answer to that was Arizona State beat 2 of them. Awesome. Good for you. It happened to be BYU, which we saw not great, and Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game. Iowa State, awesome. Good for you. You beat Miami in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, the most fun bowl that's out there. Awesome. But the Big 12 is not one of the power conferences anymore. And I feel like I'm just talking to myself in this aspect of, I'm watching college football, and there are 2 conferences that matter. 2, the SEC and the Big 10. And that's going to be apparent if Notre Dame loses to Georgia today in the Sugar Bowl. You will have 2 Big 10 teams and 2 SEC teams in the semifinals for the college football playoff. Maybe you get Notre Dame in there. But again, I am not one of these people that thinks Notre Dame is a good enough team to do anything. Whenever you have the control over your schedule the way Notre Dame does, I get it. You win the games in front of you, but you don't really test yourself. You're just padding your stats. Arizona State, Boise State did not deserve to have bye weeks. And then you look at what's happened so far in the college football quarterfinals, right? The college football playoff quarterfinal. All 3 teams thus far that had a bye week lost. If Notre Dame finds some way to beat Georgia, then it'll be all 4 teams. I just don't see Georgia losing to Notre Dame. I'm more than likely going to be wrong. I just don't see it this time, right? It's so hard for me to pick against Georgia. It's so hard for me to pick against the SEC whenever you got other teams out there that just aren't playing in conferences as good as the SEC and the Big 10. Arizona State, Boise State did not deserve their seeding based off of what they did this year, based off who they played this year, right? I love Ashton Genty. Tommy Cananza and I talk about it all the time. Ashton Genty coming to the Dallas Cowboys. A couple of friends of mine, we're in a group chat, and we're saying the performance he had against Penn State is going to tank his draft stock. And I'm like, you know what? I'm about it. That's who I wanted. Let him drop into the 15th spot in the draft to go to the Dallas Cowboys, because I think that it wasn't just an Ashton Genty thing. It was the difference between what Boise State has and what Penn State has. It's not even comparable whenever you compare the 2 teams, right? And in college football, you need more than a guy, more than a singular guy. Yesterday, we almost got proven wrong on that, right? I almost got proven wrong on that because what Cam Scattaboo, whatever the hell you say his name is, it shouldn't be Scattaboo because there's only one O. If it's Boo, it should be two O's or a U. I don't get the Scattaboo part, but whatever. He almost did it for Arizona State. But that's because, as I said yesterday, the University of Texas is a fraud. They are going to get exposed against Ohio State. They played a couple of good teams on their schedule this year, but whenever they played a really good team in Georgia, Georgia stomped them twice. It's hard for me to put any stock in the University of Texas as I live in Texas, thinking to myself that this is going to be a team that can actually make noise in the college football playoff. Yes, you made it to the semifinal. It should have never been more. It should have never been more than 4 teams. People are going to say, oh, there were upsets, Tip. The 5 seed beat the 4 seed. The 6 seed beat the 3 seed. The 8 seed beat the 1 seed. That right there could be your only upset. Oregon losing to Ohio State. That's it. That's your only upset you get. The rest of it, you can't really say is an upset because of the way that they did this weird seeding thing in the college football playoff. Because if you look at where the rankings are right now, Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, Ohio State, that's your top 6. All 6 of those teams were in action this weekend. All the way down at the bottom, you have Boise State and you have Arizona State. The 9 and the 12 seeded teams should not have been gifted what they got. I was again raked over the coals yesterday because I said Arizona State was not deserving of being in their spot that they were in. Being the 12th ranked team and then gifted the 4 seed is not what this college football playoff should have been about. I'm with, okay, we can't have a 3-loss Alabama team in there. Look how they performed against Michigan. It was terrible, right? I'm with you on that. Reward if you want to, whoever. But the way that it is right now, the college football playoff isn't better than what it was last year. We should just stuck at those 4 teams. Maybe we have a play-in game between the 5 and 6 and see what happens there. Or we just go 6 teams, 5 and 6, 1 and 2 get a bye, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5 to move on to the quarterfinal. This 12-team playoff isn't it. We saw in the first round how terrible it was. None of those games were close. None of those games were worth watching. Hell, even outside of Texas, Arizona State, none of the other games were really worth watching. Ohio State mopped the floor with Oregon. It wasn't a game that was close. None of these games have been close. I feel like Notre Dame, Georgia isn't going to be close. Georgia's going to dog walk Notre Dame. And we're going to be in the exact same position that we were last year. So why did we even expand the playoffs? I get it. We want to give the little guy a shot. The little guy's going to crap the bed whenever he gets his shot because that's what we saw Boise State do. That's what we saw Clemson do as they limped into the playoff. That's what we saw SMU do against Penn State. That's what we saw Tennessee do. That's what we saw Indiana do. There is a huge difference between the haves and the have-nots. And all the other teams that are out there, the Boise States, Arizona State, Indiana, SMU, Tennessee, and Clemson, should not have been in the college football playoff. It shouldn't have lasted this long. And I get it. It's about money. If you don't think it's about money, you don't know sports anymore. It's always about money. What's going to drive the most money? Were there eyeballs watching it? Sure. Did any of us care? And the answer to that is no, because we knew what the outcome was going to be. Yesterday between Texas and Arizona State, fun. Goes to double overtime. Arizona State somehow, some way gets to double overtime because Texas is Texas and they're going to Texas it up. And they tried everything they could to lose that game. If Texas had played like that against Oregon, Oregon is beating them. If Texas played like that against Penn State, Penn State is beating them. If they play like that against Ohio State beating them. Georgia, Notre Dame beating Texas. Better teams would have won that game. Arizona State is gifted their position. They didn't earn it. If you would put Notre Dame or if you had put Arizona State where they deserve to be, which was a 12 seed, we would have had this game a couple of weeks ago, and no one would even be caring about it because Texas would have beat Arizona State the way that it should have been. It's not an upset whenever the 5-seed Texas beats an undeserving 4-seed Arizona State. Man, I'm lit up on that. I'm not even a huge college football fan. I'm just not. I just don't like the way this playoff is. All it is once again exposing that the better teams that are out there, the name brand teams that we know, are going to win these games. Texas did everything they could to lose that game. If you look at penalties, they had more penalties. If you look at turnovers, they had more turnovers. If you look at the amount of yards given up, they had so much more yards given up defensively than what Arizona State did. Texas got out to a big lead, rested for a little bit, got enough points to do what they needed to do, and then moved on. It was like watching someone playing with their food. A better team than Texas throttles Arizona State. A better team than Arizona State beats Texas because neither one of those teams were really that great yesterday. And I can't wait to see what Ohio State does to Texas because it's going to be bad. Ohio State, what they just did to the number one team in the country, the undefeated team of the Big Ten, what Ohio State just did to them, imagine what they're going to do to Texas whenever Texas doesn't play the way that they always that we all see, right? We talk about potential. The University of Texas Longhorns have a ton of potential, but do they live up to it? Daniel Gonzalez going on to say it's set up for a potential third game between Texas and Georgia, I think. I mean, I can see Georgia beating Penn State. I can't. I again, the sun shines on the dog's ass every now and then. I cannot see a situation where Texas beats Ohio State. And I would love to be wrong on that, right? Again, I admit when I'm wrong. I'm wrong a lot of times. Was I wrong about Texas yesterday? No. Was I as blatant as other people were saying, oh, Texas is going to run, mop the floor with Arizona State? No, because I know Texas. I also don't think that Arizona State was that good. They were the beneficiary of a lot of things that had to help them out. Look at how many penalties moved the ball down the field for them that Texas did. Again, Texas doing everything they can to try to lose this game. They served it up on a platter to Arizona State so that way I can see more of these posts about how Cam Scatabo is the best running back in college football. Hands down. I saw the thing about him yesterday of he used to put on his big brother's shoulder pads and run into telephone poles. I don't know if that's a selling point to people. Like, he loves to run into a telephone pole. That to me sounds pretty damn dumb. But I'm just some dude. And I'm also the type of person, if the baby's ugly, I call the baby ugly. Running into a telephone pole as a child is pretty damn stupid. And I know stuff because I was a pretty damn stupid child. Once again, you're tuned into The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are live on YouTube, X, Facebook, and of course on Roku via National Streaming Sports. Shout out to our friends over at National Streaming Sports for even allowing the goofiness that is me to be a part of the programming that they have. Super excited about the partnership that we have and what we're going to be doing in 2025 as we move forward in a brand new year to see how we can grow all this stuff. So please download Roku, support my friends over at National Streaming Sports. Support the people that support me. I love doing that as well. You all already know that. You own a business, I'll give you a little bit of love, especially locally here in El Paso. Like my friend Jessica Michelle Forzon, who owns Jolly Belly Jellies. Amazing jellies that she made. She made one for my family as well. It was called Just the Tip. It was pomegranate, grape, and strawberry mixed together. It was a beautiful, amazing jelly. I need to find Jessica. Look me in the eyes. I need more. All right. The boy's addicted. I'm a fat guy. I need more sweets. Send them my way. You check out the videos. She also puts up some pretty cool videos of her making the jellies on TikTok, and I want to say Instagram, maybe YouTube. I got to do a better job at some of that stuff as well. And remember, we are brought to you by our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com. RevAutoCarCare.com. Use promo code Tipton33. Save up to 15% on all of your car care needs. And visit www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton and find out what deals they have to ring in the new year. You want to look your best? You want to feel your best? No more chafing. No more, the bush is the biggest, like the Zohan says. None of that nonsense. Take care of yourselves, guys. Make sure you're doing it not just for you, but for the person in your life that you love. www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton. We're going to take a quick break. Whenever we come back, the NFL announces the Pro Bowl participants. Does anybody care? We'll figure that out whenever we return on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. What's up, everybody?
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here.
Oh, hello. I'm Mike Tipton. I want to tell you about the perfect gift this holiday season. The Balber's dual-sided ergonomic design allows it to go both ways, meaning you can shave in either direction. The slim shape is optimal for trimming those hard-to-reach areas. It's also nut safe, providing a 30-degree pivoting blade that is engineered for nut keeping. Say goodbye to the cuts, nicks, pulling, tugging, and snaps. If you're looking for stamina, it's got exactly what you need. With its long-lasting lithium rechargeable battery, it can last up to 150 minutes on one charge. The Balber is IPX7 waterproof, which means it can have fun, dry, or wet. Visit www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton to give your man the perfect package for his package. We're just going to end that right there. I have no idea what's going on with some of the commercial buttons here, so I'll figure that one out a little bit later. Again, part of the downside of doing all this stuff all by your little lonesome, right? Like, Jesus Christ, I got to try to figure out what the hell is going on with some of these issues. Buttons that are buttons that shouldn't have anything wrong with them now have stuff wrong with them. But you know what? We get through this together. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, for dealing with the patience and the nonsense and all the nonsense stuff that I've got to send out to all of you through the course of the 1 hour that we do the show with our friends over on Roku. I mentioned it a little bit earlier that starting next week, the show is going to evolve, grow, I guess, into a 2-hour show Monday through Friday. Monday through Thursday, though, it's going to be 1 hour on Roku. So the people on Roku, you only get 1 hour with me. I'm sure that's all you want. I'm sure that's all you could stomach, to be honest with you. But you know what? For those that want more, you can always look up stuff on social media at Mr. Tipton33 on YouTube, X, Facebook, all over the place. That's where we are. Okay. The NFL announced today who their Pro Bowl teams were. And I sit back and I think to myself, does that stuff matter? Well, like, do we care about all-star nominations and things of that nature? Because I remember, as a kid, you would see stuff like Hank Aaron is the all-time home run leader, and he won X amount of World Series, and he was an X amount of all-star appearances, and blah, 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 blah. And I wonder now, like, do we even care about the Pro Bowl? Do we care about all-star exhibitions at all? I do. I love like the skills competitions and stuff like that, right? Like I love going to the home run derby. I love watching the NBA skills competition. Hell, even in hockey, I love watching what they can do with the damn hockey puck because I'm just a nerd to look at stuff like that. And in the NFL, all I care about is watching the best do their best, right? The skills competition, seeing how accurate quarterbacks can be, how strong their arms are, like all of that stuff, I love. Tommy Canazza saying the Pro Bowl is a joke, and that's where I will agree. The game itself, it's a flag football game now, right? And there's nothing against flag football. I love me some flag football, but at that level, you're not watching. You don't want to watch flag football. You want the hits, you want the crunch, you want all of that stuff. And I'm sitting back thinking to myself, when did it become the joke that it became? Because as we all know, like I don't shy away from this. I'm old school. I remember Sean Taylor blowing up Brian Moorman, the punter for the Buffalo Bills, on a fake punt. I remember plays like that. I remember dudes getting knocked out and carried off the field in Pro Bowl games as early as 2005 or as recent as 2005. When did this change happen of, okay, it's got to be two-hand touch. We got to have flag football. Why? Right? Major League Baseball's All-Star Game, I think, is the best out of the All-Star Games because it actually has value to it. It means something. The NBA All-Star Game, I love the NBA All-Star Game. I was a big fan of what happened last year, seeing two teams. One team got 200 points, another team almost got 200 points. I'm a fan, right? I just want to see the ball go through the basket, and the best in the world can do that anytime they want. If other people want defense, go watch a defensive game and then come back to me and tell me you didn't want to see more offense, right? But do we care about who the nominees are? And the only reason why I ask that is because I'm looking at, or I guess not the nominees, but who the all-stars, the Pro Bowl players are. And I'm looking at it and they say Patrick Mahomes was snubbed out of the NFL Pro Bowl game. The quarterbacks for the AFC, I could have swore I had it up here, but the quarterbacks for the AFC are Lamar Jackson. They are Josh Allen. I'm doing my best to try to bring it up here without stalling too much. And Joe Burrow. Josh Allen going to be the starting quarterback for the AFC. And obviously you sit there and you say to yourself, well, why not Patrick Mahomes? Well, statistically, Patrick Mahomes hasn't had the season that we're used to seeing Patrick Mahomes have. Augustine saying defense wins championships and the Pro Bowl is an S show. I know, yeah, and I agree. Like, defense is always going to win the championship. It just flatly does, right? But the Pro Bowl, to me, shouldn't even be an exhibition game anymore, right? Like, and even like the NBA All-Star Game, and I guess hockey and baseball can keep the game if they want to. But if you're going to have like an all-star game like that, why not have like the world versus U.S. competition that the NBA does, which I actually really like, right? Like where you have all the international players playing against the best players from the Americas, from the NBA. I like that. I think that makes it fun. But whenever you have this East versus West or Team LeBron versus Team Steph or whatever it is, that stuff to me is just kind of lame. Right, like you're reaching for stuff, and then to see what the NBA All-Star Game is going to be this year, where it's going to be a 4-team round robin double elimination style tournament game. First to like whatever amount of points is going to win the game, and then move on and blah 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 blah. That stuff to me doesn't matter. Give me the dunk contest with actual names. Give me the 3-point contest because I love me some 3-point contests. Give me the skills competition. I'm happy. I don't need the damn game. And that's the way that I feel about the Pro Bowl as well, right? I loved whenever they would do like the trick kicks in the NFL. I think it was Adam Vinatieri and David Akers at the time doing trick kicks, banking them off of things to go in through the uprights, like the weird angles and stuff like that. Quarterbacks just out there showing off how strong their arm can be. That's the stuff that I love. I'm just not. I don't think anyone cares about whether or not a quarterback made it to the Pro Bowl. And I don't think anyone cares about those things because it's simply based off of popularity, I guess. What matters to the players is like how many all pro teams did you make? How many championships, how many playoff appearances, et cetera, et cetera. How much of that did you get? No one's gonna be like, well, that guy was a 10-time Pro Bowler and he never won a ring, but 10 times going to the Pro Bowl, that means, he's a Hall of Famer. I don't necessarily think that's the case, right? Because we've seen how many people just opt out of going to the Pro Bowl. How many people are just saying to themselves, look, I don't care about this game at all. Aaron Rodgers was the number one dude to do that, right? Like, I'm not going to go. I've got my pinky is sprained. I can't play quarterback with a sprained pinky. Augustine saying, what happened to where the real stats played in real stars played in all-star games and participated in the contests? I think that's the thing, right? Like with the NBA back in the day, and again, I'm gonna sound like I'm get off my lawn guy because I'm super old, right? But back in the day, you had the Michael Jordans competing in dunk contests. You had Larry Bird competing in three-point contests. Those names, right? Kobe Bryant in dunk contests, Vince Carter in dunk contests. And then somewhere along the line, we wind up getting just, random dudes in the dunk contest. And I get that that's a way that you can build a brand, right? But does anyone remember or care about the dunk contest that I thought was one of the best ones of all time between Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon? And they went back and forth against each other all the time. And there were some pretty awesome dunks there. But those guys were not star players. They're awesome role dudes, right? But you need at least one big, massive star player in there. And the talk for so long with the NBA dunk contest was, we're going to get LeBron James. LeBron James is going to be in it. And LeBron James, every damn game, every damn all-star game would be asked, are you going to be in the dunk contest this year? And he'd be like, of course I am. Uh-huh. And then it would come down and he'd be like, no, I'm not going to dunk. I just, I'm good. I don't need a dunk contest trophy. I don't need any of that. I focused on the playoffs. Augustine saying like the white guy that won it from the G League. Oh man, I'm trying to remember his name right now. And my guy Jesse Carter, if he's watching, he's gonna hate me for it because he was with the Spurs and he used to be he's from Virginia. I cannot think of his name off the top. Mac McClung. There we go. Mac McClung, whenever he won it. I will say this though, Augustine. Mac McClung, that dude can dunk. He's got some spring to him, man. So like don't disrespect him that way by being like the white guy that won the dunk contest. No, Mac McClung can dunk. That dude can jam. He's got some springs in them legs. But yes, like whenever a dude from the G League, I don't care who he is, when someone from the G League wins your dunk contest, you're not doing it right. Tommy Carranza saying it used to be an honor to get named to the Pro Bowl. Now even the players are like, no thanks. I think all Pro Bowl or all pro nominations mean more to the players. I agree. That's what matters, right? Like in the contracts, it doesn't give you, or maybe some of them do, but I don't think they do. It doesn't give you incentives to be a Pro Bowl player, right? It's all about all pros. It's all about, the end of the season rankings and stuff like that. It's about those types of things that matter in the grand scheme of your career, right? Like no one's going to be like, oh, that person, he was a Pro Bowler that one time, because anybody can be an all-star one time or two times, right? Especially in a long career, especially in a game like football where people are going to opt out of playing the damn game. So yes, you're going to look into, oh, okay, now this guy's going to be a Pro Bowler this time, right? In the NBA, you don't see as many people opt out. Obviously, there's injury issues. There's things of that nature that cause it. But in football, I want to say it was last year, where you had like 4 quarterbacks from the AFC or the NFC drop out, and you wind up having a no-name guy like Tommy DeVito as an all-star, right? Just because you have to have somebody from those teams to be there. And I'm looking at the rosters right now, and obviously in the AFC we know who the quarterbacks were, and people being like, "Oh, well, Travis Kelce made it to being a Pro Bowl tight end. We need to have Patrick Mahomes in there as well." I don't think we do. I really don't think Patrick Mahomes is losing sleep tonight over I wasn't invited to the Pro Bowl. Woe is me. How is my life going to be complete? Oh, look, 3 Super Bowl rings. I'm good. I know I'm good. Every single one of them, like none of us at the time that Patrick Mahomes retires in his career, none of us are going to say, "Oh my God, Patrick Mahomes, he would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer." But you remember that 2024-2025 season where he didn't make the Pro Bowl? Nah, dude. You're not a first ballot guy. You're not a unanimous Hall of Fame quarterback because you missed the 2024-2025 Pro Bowl. You allowed Sam Darnold to get to the Pro Bowl. They don't even play in the same conference. I know, nerds. I was going for the joke. Augustine saying, "Hey, quit drinking from that loser cup. LOL." The loser cup. I think that's a trophy that I've got to hand out to like the most underperforming team in the NFL. I wonder if that would be the Cowboys this year. It's got to be a tie between the Cowboys and the 49ers as far as like the most underachieving team in the NFL this season, right? I mean, both teams had to deal with injuries. One of them is the 49ers. The other one is the Cowboys. So they both just have been bad for the better part of 3 decades now. The loser cup. That's got to be a trophy that I hand out to someone. Like, you were the best loser out there. Maybe it goes to UTEP. 3 wins this season after all the hype that UTEP got. Or maybe I'm just over here hating. And I look at the rosters for the Pro Bowl, and I'm like, okay, so we've got 5 players from the Dallas Cowboys. Tommy Cananza saying the 49ers win it. Ooh, Tommy, what if the Eagles lose in the first round? I forgot. My New Year's resolution was I was going to be Stephen A. of the Philadelphia Eagles, right? So I've got to get into character here, and I've got to come up with my hot take. All right. The Philadelphia Eagles are a fraudulent team. Yes, you won the NFC East, a very underachieving NFC East, given what we saw last year, where there were 3 playoff representatives from the NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys were not that good this year. The New York Giants took a huge step back. The Washington Commanders, more than likely going to be bounced out of the first round of the playoffs. And I'm looking at this Philadelphia Eagles team, and I look at the way that they're made up, and I look and I sit and I say to myself, this team doesn't have what it takes to win it all. There is no way that you can look at this team and say to yourself, they're going to win it. They got it all. They got what it has to win the Super Bowl. No, they don't. You think the Philadelphia Eagles are better than the Lions, are better than the Vikings, are better than the Green Bay Packers? The playoffs start today. The Green Bay Packers are beating the Philadelphia Eagles, the fraudulent Philadelphia Eagles, the sensitive Philadelphia Eagles, this team that is so mentally weak that all it takes is one loss to ruin this entire season. The Philadelphia Eagles aren't going to win the Super Bowl. Don't get your hopes up, Philadelphia, thinking you're going to have another parade in the Super Bowl for a Super Bowl champion. No more. No more. They're not winning the Super Bowl. They're getting bounced in the first round of the playoffs because that's what the Philadelphia Eagles do. Oh, man, I can't wait till I put that one up on social media. That's some good improvisation right there. Augustine going on to talk about the Loser Cup, that the 49ers win it by a year. Ooh, maybe we can give it to the Raiders too. Like I know Raiders fans are always out there talking crap to the Dallas Cowboys, which again is weird. Like you're the Raiders, no one cares about you. Small group of people. Augustine saying not even Palpatine has the hate you have in your heart. And it's funny because I can just like turn it on and then turn it off. I think what I'm going to do is go the Stephen A route and actually like script some of the stuff that I want to say. That was just off the top of my head because I have to remember. I need a sticky note here that says at least once a week. And you know what? I want you guys, the people that support this show, Augustine, Tommy, Jessica, Linda, Daniel, everyone that's out there. I want you guys to hold me accountable for this, right? I said I was going to do the Stephen A take. 31 teams are going to win the Super Bowl, but not the Philadelphia Eagles. The easiest take in the world. And I need y'all to hold me accountable on this. At least once a week, I need to come up with that hot take. And I think that what I'm going to do too, every time they lose, I'm going to find like a green shirt or stand in front of a green screen. I have a green screen in my garage. I'm just going to stand there and laugh. Like have like a victory cigar because they lost. Augustine saying, I can't wait for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. That would be hilarious. And then you know what I would say? Do it again. Do it again. You are one of the NFL's oldest franchises and you have 2 Super Bowl wins. You should be embarrassed. Embarrassed that you only have 2 Super Bowl wins. Just 2 Super Bowl wins in the 100 years you've been a franchise. There we go. Yeah, the Thursday take. I think I found my lane now, Augustine. That's what we're going to do. Jessica Michelle Forzon saying you're asking for trouble with asking us to ride your rear end. I don't think it's asking for trouble. I just think it's going to be a fun time. Like I said, I need, because this is basically a one-man band, right? Like I need people to kind of help keep me in check, keep me organized. The goal for later on this year is to hire a producer who can hit buttons for me whenever I need them to hit buttons, to monitor a clock, because yes, starting next week, I am going to adhere more to the clock. Augustine saying that I sound like a bad Cardinals fan. Cardinals fan? Like which Cardinal? There's so many Cardinals out there. I'm not like Louisville, Stanford, Arizona, St. Louis. Like which Cardinals are we talking about here, my guy? All right, so I got my hot take out there. I've got to realize what time it was. It was at 8:45. So I'll get that clip out there. We'll put it out there. Let's see what happens. I can't wait to see the amount of hate that I get from Philadelphia on this one. And the people that are tuned in on National Streaming Sports, I get it. This isn't your normal sports show. I'm not going to be like X's and O's type of guy. I firmly believe that we have no impact on the game. We as pundits don't know more about the game than the people that are playing it, despite the fact I am surrounded by people who think that they are experts because they watch college football or because they watch the NFL. I am not. I'm a fan. At heart, we're all fans. So I'm going to take it a little less seriously than what I should. Unless it's a college football playoff, in which case I just hate that thing right now. It looks bad. It's a whole bad matchup. Everything with the college football playoff is terrible. Augustine saying an Arizona Cardinals fan. I don't even know if there's a, like, has there been any like hate towards Arizona or from Arizona Cardinals fans? I think like with this, maybe that's what it's going back to. Like if we're talking about old teams that don't win championships, Arizona Cardinals and the Philadelphia Eagles looking at each other in the, like there's a Spider-Man meme. Is that what it is? Like I've never met an Arizona Cardinals fan that's been like, you guys are terrible, because they also know that they have 100 years of terrible football in their past. Tommy Cananza saying Philly loses in the first round unless they play Washington. They'll get bounced by round 2. I also think they'll lose to Washington. I also, again, if there's a chance that Philadelphia and Washington play against each other in the first round of the playoffs, I hope that there's an asteroid that just comes and wipes out humanity, because that right there would be a great way for all of us to go. At least for me. Like, if I saw that, I'd be like, you know what? Thank you. Saving us from having to watch the Eagles or the Commanders celebrate. Tommy Canazza saying he thinks he knows one Cardinals fan. That's what I keep thinking about that too. Like, do I know anyone that's an actual Cardinals fan? Like I have friends that live in Phoenix now, that live in Arizona, but I don't know if I know anybody that's an actual Cardinals fan. Augustine also saying, I don't think I've ever met a Cardinals. You know what? Maybe we do this, guys. Maybe we do this as well. We create an El Paso chapter of the Arizona Cardinals fan club, and we just try to get people to care about the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe that'll be like our number 2 team, right? Like, for me, it used to be the Browns, because I just wanted the Browns to win, right? Like, I've got no problem being like, I support a couple of teams here. Obviously, if the Dallas Cowboys play the Browns, I'm rooting for the Dallas Cowboys. That's just the way that I am. But at points in my life, I wanted to see the Browns be successful, because they just haven't been, right? Like, and they're the joke when it comes to that stuff. Like, I'm watching the Lions' success right now, and I'm like, you know what? Good for you guys. Like you deserve it. Obviously, if you win a championship, that's the last championship I want you to ever win. But if you win a championship, I'm happy for you. That's how I was with my Philadelphia Eagles fans when I lived in Connecticut, or my friends when I lived in Connecticut, because I was like, you know what? I got to see my team win a championship 3 times by the time I was 12 years old. You guys are in your 40s and you've never seen your team win a championship. Good for you. I'm happy for you, but just please don't talk that mess. So maybe that's what we do. We create a number 2, or maybe that's what we could do, right? Like, we can do like our second team, the second team, Arizona Cardinals fan club. Augustine saying he was a Cardinals fan when Kurt Warner was there. Oh my God, dude. Are you one of these dudes where you're like a fan of 97 teams? Everyone but the Cowboys? Is that your thing? Augustine saying, no, El Paso sports enough loser teams. UTEP, Cowboys, add another. Yeah, I mean, they got the 49ers and the Raiders in there as well. Big 49ers and Raiders fans here. Tommy's saying he'll pass. Okay, so we're not doing I wasn't going to do the Arizona Cardinals fan club either, Tommy. And they'll say it'll mean that even the Cardinals won one before the Cowboys won another one. Embarrassing. No. Now you've gone too far, right? Like, that's my limited impersonation of Liam Neeson. No. I don't want them to win a championship. I just want them to have fans, right? Like I know, and this is going to sound weird, but it's because of the stuff that I do with the NFL. I know that there is a diehard, and I mean this, a diehard Jacksonville Jaguars fan club, because they were going to pay for my hotel to go to London just so I can hang out with them, knowing that I'm not a Jacksonville Jaguars supporter, but their fan club was willing to pay for me to go to London to watch a game with them. They have diehard fans. Every other team out there has diehard fans. You look in Cleveland, you got the guys dressed up with like the dog pound and all that stuff, right? The Bengals, even with all the nonsense that they had to deal with, the Saints, all these teams that people just constantly forget about have diehard fans. Hell, even the Chargers. I know so many Chargers fans, and I keep forgetting that they're not in San Diego anymore. I have not ever met an Arizona Cardinals fan. I just haven't. And whenever I watch games between the Cowboys and the Cardinals, it's always more Cowboys fans in Phoenix than what you see with anyone wearing red. And I feel like the people that are wearing red in the Arizona Cardinals fan, like in their stadium, they're wearing that red because it was a giveaway. We want you to show up to the stadium. Please just wear this shirt. Is there a fan in the city of El Paso that loves the Arizona Cardinals? That's going to be my mission. I have to find out whether or not there is a fan in El Paso, in all 900,000 people that live here, is there one Arizona Cardinals fan? Actually, I think I know one dude, but I have to ask because I think he might, like, he lives in Phoenix, but I think he's a Cowboys fan. So I don't know. I just don't know. We're figuring it out. Tommy Carranza saying they have at least one. So your friend, right? Like, your friend loves the Arizona Cardinals. Man, I know there's a lot of Bears fans. There's Packers fans. There's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan club at Moose's Draft House here in El Paso. Like, I don't see anything. Like, no love at all for the Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, I'm not going to be a fan of the Arizona Cardinals. I just, I just want to see you guys do okay. Like, you'll be all right. Whenever you look at, like, Hall of Famers from the Arizona Cardinals, it's like Jake the Snake Plummer, right? Like, it's that guy. Who else is, like, people go to the Cardinals? I guess Larry Fitzgerald. But people go to the Cardinals after their Hall of Fame career. They're banking on their name. I was asked a question right now. I'm not from Connecticut. I'm from El Paso, but I used to live in Connecticut. But I'm from El Paso, Texas. I lived in Connecticut for a little while whenever I was up there working at the mothership. And I was asked if I know a Bobby Tipton. I do not. Unfortunately. But maybe I will. Maybe I'll find my way back up to Connecticut and me and Bobby can hang out sometime. All right, everybody. Damn, this hour flew by fast. Oh, my God. That was a really quick hour that we were doing here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Now, Roku audience, we won't see you tomorrow. I apologize, but I will not see you tomorrow. I will see you on Monday, though. Remember, everybody, starting Monday, the show is going to go to 2 hours, 1 hour on Roku, 2 hours on YouTube and X and Facebook, and we're just going to continue doing stuff like that as we move forward over here. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We will be back tomorrow on YouTube, X, and Facebook. We'll talk more about what's going on in the world of college football. I'll give you my tips, 6 picks of the week so you can make yourself a little bit of money. We will see you tomorrow. Everyone have a great day. Oh, hello. I'm Mike Tipton. I want to tell you about the perfect gift this holiday season. The Balber's dual-sided ergonomic design allows it to go both ways, meaning you can shave in either direction. The slim shape is optimal for trimming those hard-to-reach areas. It's also nut-safe, providing a 30-degree pivoting blade that is engineered for nut keeping. Say goodbye to the cuts, nicks, pulling, tugging, and snaps. If you're looking for stamina, it's got exactly what you need. With its long-lasting lithium rechargeable battery, it can last up to 150 minutes on one charge. The Balber is IPX7 waterproof, which means it can have fun, dry, or wet. Visit www.myhappynuts.com/Mike Tipton to give your man the perfect package for his package.